94 million cubic meters of sand. That is what Palm Jumeirah is, sand dredged off the floor of the Persian Gulf and sprayed through the air into the shape of a tree. No rock core, no concrete piles. Just sand, placed by GPS-guided ships and then shaken solid. Now, and you have probably heard the other thing about this island, that it is visible from space with the naked eye. Astronauts really do pick it out. But the famous razor-sharp photographs that made that claim travel were taken through an 800mm lens from 400 kilometers up. That is not the naked eye. The engineering underneath the myth is the better story. In the early 2000s, Dubai had a specific self-created problem. A coastline of roughly 70 kilometers and a government determined to build tourism infrastructure, luxury villas, resorts, marinas, at a scale that would need dramatically more waterfront property than the natural coast could ever provide. The solution the ruling family settled on wasn't to build up. It was to build out into the Persian Gulf itself and shape that new land into something so visually distinctive it would be recognizable from an aerial photo alone. A palm tree, trunk and fronds extending out into open water. The challenge was that nobody had ever reclaimed land at this scale, in this shape, in open sea, using sand alone as a building material. A palm-shaped island isn't just more coastline. Its curved, branching fronds create far more shoreline per square kilometer than a simple circular or rectangular landfill would, which was the entire commercial point, but it also made the engineering dramatically harder. Construction began in 2001. Dredgers pulled roughly 94 million cubic meters of sand from the seabed and sprayed it into place using GPS-guided rainbowing, literally shooting a fine arc of sand out of the ship through the air to build up the shape layer by layer. But sand sprayed loosely into seawater doesn't just sit there stable, it needs to be compacted, or the whole island would slowly liquefy and sink under its own weight and the weight of anything built on it. Engineers used a technique called Vibrocompaction, lowering a vibrating probe into the new sand and shaking it at high frequency to force the grains to settle into a dense, stable arrangement over and over across the entire footprint of the island. To keep the whole structure from simply washing away, an 11-kilometer crescent-shaped breakwater made of rock was built around the outside of the fronds, absorbing wave energy before it could erode the new land directly. The finished island added roughly 78 kilometers of new coastline to a country that started this project looking for more beachfront, a genuinely audacious answer to a self-imposed problem. The flaws in this project aren't hidden, they're measurable. Independent monitoring, including NASA satellite radar data, has recorded parts of Palm Jumeirah sinking at a rate of roughly 5 millimeters a year as the reclaimed sand continues to settle and compact under load, even after the initial vibrocompaction work. Nakheel, the developer, has publicly disputed that this settling has caused any structural problems with buildings on the island. But the monitoring itself continues, using satellite imaging and ground-penetrating radar to track subsidence and flag risk areas as they emerge. Erosion is the other ongoing cost. Natural wave action steadily displaces sand along the fronds beaches despite the breakwater, and Dubai spends millions of dollars every year replenishing that sand and adjusting rock formations to keep the shoreline in its designed shape. This isn't a one-time construction cost. It's a permanent, ongoing maintenance bill that comes with building land instead of finding it. Palm Jumeirah is real, it works, and it remains one of the most recognizable pieces of engineered land on the planet. The myth-busting here isn't, it's fake, or it's failing. It's about precision. It is visible from orbit in photographs, especially from the ISS with a long lens, and astronauts have specifically sought it out as a landmark because of its unmistakable shape. But the spot it with your bare eyes from space version of the claim oversells what the human eye can actually resolve from orbit. The same way the famous Great Wall of China visible from space claim has been debunked by astronauts themselves. What's not exaggerated, roughly 2 decades after construction began, the island continues to settle by millimeters a year. Its beaches need constant, expensive upkeep against the sea. And it's still standing, still expanding Dubai's coastline, exactly as designed. If you want more mega projects taken apart like this, subscribe. There's a new one every week.